What's up guys, the okayest gamer here. Today we're going to do a Onexplayer 2 dock test. Let's see if this thing can compete with the consoles. Let's jump in. First up we've got Final Fantasy VII Remake. Unfortunately I don't have a 4K capture card, so all the audio and video for the gameplay has been captured by my camera. For Final Fantasy VII I went with 1440p for the demo. I tested out 4K and was getting roughly 20 FPS with dips down to 15 during combat. Definitely not stable enough to play. I have the graphics set to low and set the FPS target to 60 so you can see the actual performance. If you set the resolution to 1080p you'll get closer to 60 FPS while walking around, but will have dips to the mid 30s during combat. I recommend using 1440p with FPS locked at 30. Overall this game gets a pass from me for the docked experience. Next up is Cyberpunk 2077. Just like Final Fantasy VII, I decided to go with 1440p for this one. When I tested 4K, the frame rate was hanging around the 20s, which really isn't that great of an experience. I have the graphics set to low, and the crowd density to medium, which seems to be more stable overall. As you can see when driving, the frame rate can dip into the high 20s, where while we're walking around it seems to be in the 30s, sometimes 40s. So if you're using these settings I would suggest setting the FPS lock to 30, and that should give you a more stable experience overall. If you are able to set up 40 Hz on your TV, you could probably play out the settings a little bit more, maybe drop it down to 1080p and probably have pretty close to locked 40 FPS. But anyway, with the settings that I've gone with, I would say the performance is stable enough to be playable, and I would say that this could be a good experience to play this game docked. I wanted to give Hogwarts Legacy a try. I will say right up front that I'm not on the latest AMD drivers, which may have helped with some of the stuttering this game has. I have the graphics set to low and the resolution to 1440p, with FSR set to ultra performance. Overall, the game looks like it's running at high 30s to mid 40s, but there is significant dips that happen when there's a lot of action on screen, as well as occasional stuttering and hitches. The AMD driver may help smooth this out, or maybe a game update will help, I'm not totally sure, but right now docked or handheld I've found this game isn't very stable at the moment. I would hold off playing this one docked until it's more stable. Maybe somebody else has managed to optimize some settings for this game, so if you have any of those optimized settings, please share them in the comments for the rest of us. But for now, I'm not going to recommend playing this game docked as it's way too unstable at the moment. For God of War, I decided to do 3 clips with different settings. This first one is 4K with FSR set to ultra performance. The graphics are set to low. It's below 30 FPS almost all the time, so I don't recommend using this unless you're just wanting to see what it looks like output at 4K. Next up we have 1440p with ultra performance set for FSR. Graphics are still set to low. As you can see we're getting mid 30s, high 30s. It's a good experience if you want to lock to 30 FPS. So it's somewhere between a PS4 and PS4 Pro for what you're going to get. And the last test for God of War is at 1080p with FSR set to performance. So this is a good candidate for a 40 FPS lock. If you're able to use CRU to set your TV display at 40 Hz, then I would strongly recommend using this setting if you want the most stable performance. I wanted to give High on Life a test to see how it came out on the OLED, and it actually comes out pretty nice. I have the resolution output set to 1440p, I have the graphics set to low, and the in-game scaling is at 50%. So I found this to be the best formula for getting 60 FPS pretty consistently. You can play with the settings, maybe turn up the graphics, or maybe reduce the scaling a little bit, but then you're not going to quite have as stable a experience. I found that some areas will cause major dips in this game, so I just wanted to set it so that it wouldn't get any dips even in combat. Overall, the experience playing this game docked is really good. It seems to be performing stable enough that I would be totally comfortable playing this on my TV rather than just handheld. Our final game for the dock test is Halo Infinite. I focused mostly on the campaign rather than the multiplayer just because the campaign's more demanding. So I have the output set to 1440p and I have the game's internal resolution set to around 800p. So I tested this with 4K as well, and I thought maybe the internal resolution being the same would not have any impact on the performance, but I did find that it was getting about mid-40s when I had it set to 4K. So if you wanted to get a little bit closer to 60 FPS, you could set the video output to 1080p. Then the scaling that the game is going to do is going to be a little bit more minimalistic, and you should get a little bit better results. Overall, though, for the campaign, it's playable. When you're playing on multiplayer, it's a lot closer to a locked 60. I would recommend probably doing 1080p if you're going to play competitively, but if you're just playing campaign, just messing around, then 1440p works perfectly fine. Alright, that's going to do it for this one. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe for more content. Be sure to check out my Onexplayer 2 playlist for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.